WrestleMania has become an incredible event comparable in scope and scale to the Super Bowl. No other event in the world of professional wrestling comes close to the spectacle that is WrestleMania. The event brings fans of the WWE together to watch the best in the industry, put on a show that brings storylines to a conclusion or sometimes new ones to life. Some of the greatest moments in WWE and pro wrestling history have taken place at WrestleMania, and some of the greatest wrestlers in the history of sports entertainment have made their mark on the grandest stage. Some WrestleMania cards have been better than others, some events have been tremendous from top to bottom, others not so much. I am the Wrestling Guy and welcome to another This Video here on the channel. Today we break down the top 5 best WrestleManias of all time. Be sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell for weekly wrestling content. Number 5. WrestleMania 31. There have been WrestleManias where the build-up to the event was far better than the underwhelming show that resulted. This is the opposite of that situation. Heading into WrestleMania 31, anticipation was at an all-time low. The streak had been broken in the year prior, so a lot of The Undertaker's reason for existing in the WWE was gone. John Cena was lining up to squash young superstar Rusev like a bug, Triple H and Sting were wrestling a featured match with a combined age of over 90, and most importantly, Roman Reigns was facing Brock Lesnar in the main event, and fans just hated that idea. But somehow from low expectations came a shockingly good show. The Intercontinental title ladder match was a great spot fest won by Bryan. Seth Rollins and Randy Orton put on a surprisingly good match in the undercard. Triple H and Sting was carried by overwhelming nostalgia and silly fun, and Cena and Rusev was also a better than expected match. Plus The Rock and Ronda Rousey were there, and that was pretty cool. And to top it all off, WWE called an audible and had Seth Rollins cash in the Money in the Bank contract during Reigns and Lesnar, and left as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion in a moment that absolutely nobody saw coming, and is probably my favourite WrestleMania moment of all time. Number 4. WrestleMania 3. The biggest WrestleMania of all time, with over 93,000 allegedly crammed into the Pontiac Silverdome to see one of the most anticipated matches of all time, Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. Make no mistake, Hogan and Andre was a dream match for that generation of wrestling, and a true torch-passing moment. Of course, setting aside the monumental effects it had on WWE and pro wrestling going forward, the match itself was pretty terrible, as Andre was in tremendous pain at that point in his career and largely immobile. But what gets WrestleMania 3 onto this list ahead of some other worthy contenders is that despite Hogan and Andre being legitimately one of the biggest matches in the history of the sport, the Intercontinental title match between Randy Savage and Ricky Steamboat has stood the test of time as one of the best matches in WrestleMania and possibly wrestling history, a display of technical mastery that has never been equalled. Those two huge matches are also supplemented by an iconic Roddy Piper Adrian Adonis brawl and one of the many meetings between the Hart Foundation and the British Bulldogs. Don't let people tell you otherwise. WrestleMania 3 is far from a one-match show. Number 3. WrestleMania 30. From a historic perspective, this is the night when the streak ended at the hands of Brock Lesnar, but the match was fairly bad due to Undertaker suffering a concussion early on. Cesaro did win the inaugural Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, but that brief shining moment was quickly eclipsed by WWE having no idea how to book him afterwards and basically wasting a golden opportunity to make a new star. John Cena defeated Bray Wyatt in a match that wasn't bad, but falls under the category of John Cena winning another match he probably didn't need to at the expense of an up-and-coming talent. But on the other hand, Daniel Bryan is all over this show, from the opening match against Triple H to the main event against Batista and Randy Orton, and that makes this WrestleMania truly special, one of the biggest WrestleMania moments of all time. I think everybody can agree that this is pure WrestleMania wonder. In terms of in-ring quality, it's not the strongest WrestleMania, but in terms of emotional impact, nothing comes close to 30. Number 2. WrestleMania 19. Talk about a card that is pretty much stacked with great matches. There's the first time meeting between Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho, which was an instant classic. There's the very last match of Stone Cold Steve Austin's career, and thankfully it's against The Rock. There's even one of the best women's matches of the era, as Trish Stratus faces Jazz and Victoria at the height of her popularity. And sure, Hulk Hogan vs Vince McMahon sounds terrible on paper, but they had a pretty incredible street fight anyway. And then you have the main event featuring Brock Lesnar against Kurt Angle, the best wrestler in the planet at that point. Yes, Brock blows the big finish, but everything up to that point is basically flawless and a high watermark for wrestling at that point. You'll have to suffer through the garbage that is Triple H versus Booker T, but everything else on this show more than makes up for it. Number 1. WrestleMania 17. It is the absolute climax of WWE's hottest period ever, topped off by two of the industry's biggest stars putting on an incredible 5-star match that defined the Attitude Era. But Rock vs Austin is just one of the many incredible matches that run up and down this card, including Kurt Angle in a battle of technical masters, Triple H vs The Undertaker in a brutal brawl that remains one of the best matches of the streak, and Vince McMahon facing his son Shane in a street fight that is just the perfect mix of brutality, chaos, and even humour. And if that's not enough, there's also TLC 2, which is probably the best of the entire Dudley's, Hardy's, Edge and Christian series of ridiculous matches. Even the bad matches aren't actually bad, punctuated by the enjoyable comic relief of the ridiculous gimmick Battle Royal. This show personified WWE at that point with something for absolutely everyone to enjoy. This is not only the greatest WrestleMania of all time, but it could be argued that this is one of the greatest pay-per-views as well. The year 2000 is one of the greatest years of professional wrestling, with stellar pay-per-view after stellar pay-per-view. There is no doubt that WWE's annual WrestleMania show is the biggest spectacle of the wrestling year. For over 3 decades, WrestleMania has been the premier event in sports entertainment, with some of the biggest matches in wrestling history taking place on the grandest stage of them all. WrestleManias have emerged to stand as the absolute greatest events of all time, with the right mix of pageantry and drama, unforgettable moments and classic matches. As always guys, this list is of my own personal opinion, and there are plenty of other options that could have been included. If you have enjoyed this list and would like to see more videos like this here on the channel, make sure you're subscribing and turning on the notification bell. Do feel free to go and check out our previous list videos on the channel. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.